Hi everyone, welcome to our first episode of Let's Talk About It. My name is John Kenyan, your host. What do we talk about today? Let's talk about GMO. For the last few days, GMO has been a hot and trending topic in Kenya. And today I'm joined by two wonderful gentlemen who are going to dig deep into this topic. Welcome to the show, Wellington and Kimboi.
Thank you.
So we can start by the far right. Introduce yourself and tell us about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Wellington. I'm an agriculture officer, extension officer for that matter. Also a consultant. I work at Mkulima Bora. Apart from that, I'm also a businessman. And so when such topics are introduced, all of us become interested about it because I believe it all concerns us in one way or another. So thank you so much for having me. I appreciate that.
Okay, my name is Kimboi Henry, and I am a tech consultant. And over time, we have been able to work with Mkulima Bora in many aspects of agriculture. And so this is part of our contribution in terms of giving our opinion in this topic of GMO. Thank you.
Karibuni sana. Let's jump right into it. GMO, is it safe for human consumption? Does it cause any cancer? And are there any negative side effects to human beings that you know
of? Okay, GMO is basically genetically modified organisms. And widely, it's actually in the faculty of genetic engineering, where scientists want to come up with solutions that will help man be able to find answers to that which they face. So basically, in my own opinion, GMOs are not bad as long as they have been certified, tested, and verified by the agencies that we have. I believe they are okay, according to me. Yes.
So Kimboi, I think you have a dissenting view and perspective from Wellington. You seem not to agree with the fact that GMOs are fit for human consumption.
When we talk about GMO, we talk about science. And science from the beginning normally requires that things are proven. And so from where I sit, I cannot say GMO are bad scientifically, because it has not been proven scientifically that GMO has any health implications. But on the other hand, given that this is genetically modified organisms, and so all nature is made up of organisms, and so if this has been modified, it means it could in one way or another have some effect on existing organisms within the human body. But that has not been proven scientifically, and I still hold my opinion for myself. And again, we wait for science to probably prove or disapprove the same.
So let me jump back to you, Wellington. You mentioned something about the GMOs have to be approved by our institutions in the country. Do you think that we have the capacity to do that?
Yeah, I believe we have the capacity. The challenge is that, you see, before even the whole discussion of GMOs began, people are demonizing the same. People are saying, no, we don't want this thing. But I believe if we allow our institutions to work, especially the scientists that we have in the country, and so that they can be able to tell us if they are safe. But if you look at other countries, especially the developed countries, they practice some of these things, and we have not yet seen any negative effects of the same. I believe it's because of the advanced technology and also the ability to be careful to make sure that some of these products, by the time they are arriving at the place where consumers are getting them, they are safe and well tested. Yes.
The issue of GMO has to some extent been politicized.
Yeah.
And I think Kemboi mentioned something about it still has not been proven if there are any negative effects. So do you think that the wave that we have currently, where the politicians are weighing in, the experts are weighing in, the consumers are also weighing in, what do you think about how we have approached the issue of GMO as a country?
For me, I would say the challenge that we have as citizens of this great country is that we believe so much in politicians. But we forget that most of these politicians are just trying to get some mileage in their political journey. Because they are not experts, so to speak. And so you find them saying this thing is bad, but they are not telling us reasons as to why. They are not telling us if they have their own experts who have said that. And then if it is so, who are these experts? So that then we can be able to look at the facts on the table and say that surely this thing is wrong. And so I believe that if we can be able to allow our institutions work, and then we as citizens trust the institutions rather than individuals, I think it will be better for us, even as a country moving forward.
Kemboi, as you weigh in on the same question, I would want to add a few more questions to you. On top of how we've approached that topic of GMO as a country, do you think and feel that we've probably rushed ahead of ourselves, ahead of time, to implement the GMO solution in the country?
First of all, GMO discussion is not a new thing in Kenya, and it began way far, and the approval by the cabinet is something that has come way after like a decade long, and then the cabinet comes to approve the same. However, as the public, we are consumers of information, and the voice that we have received currently is that we have more of a political voice more than the expert voice. And so what we will seek from this country is that we allow the experts to be able to do their work, and also ask the media to go for information from the experts more than what politicians do say. Otherwise, we have politicians as our leaders. They are the ones we think have the best information from the experts, and we hope that they also consult the experts in making such decisions, and more so giving information to the public. And so as we work to trust our institutions, we hope that the politicians who are the leaders will use the institutions and the experts to be able to come up with information that they can be able to share with the public, so that we do not have information that looks skewed and information that does not bring public good.
Thank you. I think in the last few days we've had government officials justifying the issue of GMO, the fact that they're trying to sort out the food shortage in Kenya, and also to aim at achieving food security. One of the objectives of the GMO initiative from the FDA side is to provide crops that are resistant to certain damaging insects, tolerance to certain herbicides and use of control weeds, and thirdly, resistance to certain plant viruses. That is according to the FDA website from the US. So do you think that the government is justified to provide GMO as a solution for food shortage in reference to the main objective of the GMO according to that institution?
So the first thing we need to ask ourselves is, are we in a problem? Yes, we have been from a pandemic to long times without rain, and so farmers have not been able to harvest enough to be able to feed the country. But with the long times that we have had, previous governments and current government, are there things we can do to be able to enable our farmers, or in one way or another, ensure that our land produces enough that can be able to feed the country? Personally, I think we have not explored the capacity of the country to be able to feed itself. And so GMO would not be the perfect solution for now. We can, unless if the government says we are doing this on a short term way, so that once we have maize from our farmers, once we have produce from our farmers, we stop the GMO issue. Otherwise, I still feel this is not the best for now. But if it is for a short time, then let it be. I have had people asking, our people in the dry areas are doing wild fruits, which no one has ever confirmed whether those fruits are safe for human consumption, and scientifically nothing has been done about that. So would it be better for someone to consume food GMO proven scientifically, or do the wild fruits which have never been proven? So that brings something in our hearts that actually we can, if that is the extreme situation we are in, then we can do the GMO as a temporary solution, but let us ensure that the capacity of the country to produce food for itself is achieved.
Thank you. I see Wellington is eagerly waiting to counter that point. So, Wellington, do you think that the government is justified to use GMO as a solution for the food shortage you're experiencing in Kenya?
We live in a world that is advancing very fast. The populations are rising every day, yet the sizes of land are not increasing. People are dividing lands every single day. You see, if you look at how our grandfathers and our fathers used to own land, those days, they used to own large tracts of land. As compared to today, that man had 7 children, for example. He shared that land amongst them. Then the children also had children. So by this time, if now you go back to that same piece of land and look at the people that are living there, you realize that agriculture, especially indigenous agriculture, is not sufficient enough to be able to promise us that there shall be food security tomorrow. And so it's important for us to appreciate that there are other methods that we need, even as a country, so that then we can be able to move forward. Because I believe that in the years to come, we will be facing a situation where the populations are rising and people are looking for land everywhere. And then it will become a real problem. So according to me, I think that GMO is just being introduced and it is here to stay for quite some time. But then my concern would be that let the scientific institutions do their job. Let them do their job. Let them ensure that everything is working out and everything is safe for everybody in the country and for anybody that would want to consume them. Because if, for example, I would easily define what GMO is in an easy way for anybody to understand. GMO is easily described as finding the best crop that can be able to survive even in the changing climatic conditions that we have in the country today. A crop that then can be able to survive. That means that if, for example, maize is grown on highland areas and another one is grown on lowland areas, and the weather patterns are changing every day, so then we need a crop that will be able to be probably high yielding, resistant to some kind of pests and diseases. For example, the emergence of a certain pest that just came the other day is called touted absoluta. It came through Ethiopia into the country. So you realize that people that were growing tomatoes before did not have this problem, but then it has come in and they don't have medicine for it, or rather pesticides for it. So people will go into a loss, especially farmers. And so it's important for us to put it into perspective that as much as GMOs are not really promoted because of the modifications that are there, but then we also have to appreciate that technology is increasing And for as long as the products are safe, then I think it's a good place for us to go to. Yes.
Thank you. Kemboi, you are in the technical or the technology field. You're a tech consultant. I find it a bit abnormal for a tech person to negate what Wellington has said, that times are changing. We have the technology world, the scientific world, and things are changing and advancing every day. Why would you go against such an initiative, being a consultant in the technology field?
I am very much aware to the fact that if we do not change ourselves, we're going to be changed by circumstances. But as Wellington says, that we need to appreciate the fact that these crops are drought resistant and pest resistant and such like. But we move in milestones. We start somewhere and then we move to another step, to another step, to another step. But as for us, we want to, like long ago during the times of our grandparents, they would go slash the bushes and be able to plant and make a bumper harvest. But that might not be the case now, because the land is not, it's not the first time we are tilting again. It's been done so over time. And so we don't move from one point to the step number 100 when we have other steps in between, which we have not made use of. There are other agriculturally stable economies which do not really rely on GMO. And so if we are able to empower farmers in different ways, I am sure maize produced in Trans Nzoia has not faced extreme conditions in terms of pests and diseases. And even if it's so, there are available solutions to that can help us for probably some period of years. To add on that, also we have institutions like universities, Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. Their work should mainly be on how well or how best can we be able to make or produce crops within this kind of environment and such. And so there are other variants of crops that we have done. We can see the Hass avocado. I want to think it's not GMO, but it's doing well in different parts of the country under different conditions. And there are other crops that have come up which, based on bringing together those that are resistant and those that have high yield. And so I'm not saying that, or I'm not against technology. It will come at the end of the day. But let us first of all explore the available options to the end, so that we do not bring things which have some shades of uncertainties to people. So that if now we introduce GMO in our supermarkets and the common products, we will find people going for the common products, and the prices of those products will rise because everyone is fearful about this GMO. And the fact that all of us know that our hospitals and health institutions may not be that advanced as to some of these advanced countries like the US are. And so if I am aware that my health will be my burden at the end of the day, I will run away from the GMOs as much as I can. And that means a rise in the prices of non-GMO products. And so at the same time, we do not empower farmers. And countries like Kenya, we have middlemen taking advantage of such. And so our institutions need to be empowered. By the time that we say, let's go for GMO, let's have our institutions empowered, let's have our people being able to package these products in a way that everyone understands that I have GMO and I know that this is safe for me, this is not safe for me, and also ensure that our institutions work to ensure that we do not have people who take advantage of GMO for business instead of GMO for improvement of the general welfare of the Kenyan man.
Thank you. I think Wellington Kemboi has introduced a very important point that I would want to ask a question about that. You are in support of the GMO. Do we as a country have what it takes to manage the GMO products from the consumer perspective and also from the production point of view. I'm talking about the legal framework, the public, public awareness, and also regulations and the capacity to handle just in case that the GMOs are harmful to our consumers. Do you think as a country we have that in place? Because according to what Kemboi is saying is that we are rushing ahead of ourselves, that we may not have everything laid down in place for us to take up the GMO direction. So do you think that as a country we are ready in those different perspectives that I've mentioned?
Okay, number one, I want to agree with Kemboi that there has not been enough empowerment for our farmers. All of us know that the cost of producing, or rather engaging in both crop and animal husbandry practices are very high, as it is today in Kenya. The other day we were looking at fertilizer that was 6,500 Kenya shillings to a farmer in the village. And then this farmer needs several bags for him or her to be able to produce sufficiently. So it becomes a challenge because the government has not empowered the people. And if then the government can empower people by lowering the cost of production, it will encourage even some of us who are in the cities, to want to go back there and try to engage in farming, And so the government has not yet empowered the people. I also believe that even in the introduction of genetically modified organisms, commonly known as GMOs, I don't think there are enough legal frameworks. There are steps that have to be taken for now. But then I want to look at it this way. You see, Kemboi has said that when you go to the supermarket, then he sees this place has been indicated GMO and this one, the other one, that he will run for the other one. But the same Kemboi takes medicine which has been manufactured by the same scientists, and he believes that they are safe. He uses vehicles, and you see, technology, we cannot run away from technology. The other day they brought the COVID-19 vaccine, and there was a lot of information that was running around. But then we went and we were vaccinated, and here we are today, and we were greatly, assisted by the same. So science is there for our own benefit. Let us not run away from that fact. Even though I believe that GMOs will be cheaper because it will be easy to produce them. But I believe that there will be a process before they are brought to the market. There has to be a process. There has to be testing. There has to be approvals by relevant organizations or body or institutions, so that by the time they are coming to the market, they are safe. So I believe that this whole thing is for our own good. Because why should I have mbona niwe na ng'ombe kutoka kule Borana anatoa maziwa kikombe nusu, alafu niko na familia kubwa na haya maziwa hayatoshi? Why then not have some of these interventions, do crossbreeding? Let's have the F1s, F2s, until we have a perfect breed that can be able to survive in a hostile environment but give better milk. You see, then if we have 100 cows that were giving a cup of milk every single day, and then we have the improved varieties that can give us maybe 3 liters a day, we are going towards the right direction. So I believe it is important for us to just appreciate that. Technology ikiwa itakuwa fiti sana, kwa sababu it will help us have this stability in terms of enough food in the country. Let people that want to eat GMOs because they are cheaper, let them eat them and consume them. that people that want to eat indigenous products like Mboi, go to the supermarket and buy. But then let there be enough food for all of us, so that nobody will sleep hungry just because the indigenous or rather homemade products are not there, or they are so few that by the time you're arriving at the supermarkets, people are running after them. So I believe it's a good technology. Let it come on board, and let us support it. Yes.
Yes, I see Kemboi is waiting to respond to that. And as you respond, I would want to also ask this question. Now that he has said that chances are you are also a product of GMO, or you consume GMO. So do you think that there are any other products that we have been consuming that are GMO based? Now, based on whatever Wellington has said, as you justify that, you can also answer that question.
Let me answer you first. My assumption is that most of GMO producers come from these advanced nations, developed nations, and so I expect them that they will follow the law, whether they are in their land or in our land. And so, given that GMO was not legal in Kenya, I want to think even the producers of GMO outside Kenya have not been able to export them to this country. And so, if there are elements within this country who have been able to import GMO products, then I cannot say I have not consumed GMO. I have also traveled outside this country and I have taken food there. And in those times, I was not able to confirm whether those countries are producing or accepting GMOs in their country. And so I may have consumed unknowingly or knowingly. And when I talk about empowerment, I do not want people to consume GMO unknowingly. So once we say we are introducing GMO in Kenya, I would not want to consume GMO without the knowledge that I have done. And that I go buying food in the supermarket or in the markets and I think they are organic only to end up being GMO. So it's not to say that I am against GMO or technology, but let us give people the choice to choose what they want to consume. The other thing about improving production, which Wellington talked about, when we say you have a cow that produces half a liter of milk, let's not confuse GMO and crossbreeding. Crossbreeding has worked for a very long time. Unfortunately, it's not what we have fully utilized in Kenya. And so if the information goes out there and government does its best. I remember a long time ago, we used to have extension officers from the government moving out to give services to the farmers. I come from a sugarcane growing area, and I saw that when I was young. Unfortunately, I don't know where those things disappeared to, and I want to think if the same is brought back, not only to things like commercial farming, but also to subsistence farming, so that if one has a cow at home, they also have the mind of selling milk. They not only have the idea of consuming milk, because some of us come from communities where milk is a daily part of the daily meal, and so they would only think of milk for consumption. But let's make and empower people so that they can think of milk as a commercial product which they can sell and they can use it for their financial improvements. And so let's empower people to do organic farming first, and then when time comes, we will be advanced enough to be able to do GMO. Again, the production of GMO has a cost. And I want to think not our farmers or none of our farmers will be able to practice GMO farming. GMO farming might only be done by a few people, and most of those are capital owners who might be in this country and they control things, and government has to be part of it to ensure that the environments under which the GMOs are being produced are enough, because this is about genes. So genes that have been changed or modified in a particular way, if the same genes are not controlled in the best environments, then that means they can continue mutating over time, even within the human body. It's not to say that that is the case, but if GMO is something that is done within a controlled environment, and we are not able to control the environments within the country because we might not have probably the experts at now, or import GMO from countries that have expertise. So we can do the importation, but again, we need to empower our people so that we not only import but also export. And as we do of this, let's empower our farmers. Let's have more of organic production. Let's have the crossbreeding. Let us do science that help us in crossbreeding and not things which bring fears to our people. And if we have to go to that extent as of now, compared to the future, then let us be more cautious. Let us be open enough to give the people information and the choice to choose between what to consume and what not to consume.
Thank you. So what I've gotten from your statement is that as I now pose a question to both of you, is we need to give the consumers options. Like if you want to consume GMO, you have that option. If you want to still do organic, you still have that option. From a research that we did in the US is that there's a regulation and a law that non-organic and organic have to be labeled so the consumers can make that choice. So do you think that would be a conventional way that we would take as a country? Do you agree that yes, I don't agree with the GMO as Kimbo is saying, but if we are going that direction, let's label it. For Wellington as well, is this something that you would recommend to the government?
Yeah, I think it's good that I know what I'm going to buy. It's important that if I want to buy product X, I get the same, rather than I go there and then when I arrive in my house, I realize that I have something different. So it's important that the government puts a regulation whereby these products are clearly labeled, so that any consumer will be able to walk into a supermarket or a food store and they will be able to differentiate between flour that has been organically produced and flour that has not been, or rather the products that have GMOs and the products that have been produced just without having to go for the seeds that have been modified. So I think it's important that the labeling be done. Yes.
Yes, Kemboy, you could weigh in that as well, that question.
That is my stand, that we do the labeling and more so give information to the consumers, and also to limit the number of products that are GMO related, and those, if there is one which has a lot of satisfaction from the organic farming, then let us not have GMO for those ones. So let us limit the products that are GMO related, and ensure our farmers also are protected in terms of producing organic products, and also that we ensure that we make empowerment. I come from an area whereby we depend on rainfall, and as we speak now, we have maize in our farm that may not make the best because there was lack of rain for the first months. But if we go to areas like Meru, we have people irrigating maize, and they do twice or 3 times a year. So that means they are able to do subsistence farming by irrigation. As we cannot be able to do it comfortably, we rely on rainfall, yet we are on the banks of a river Nyando. And so if we do that empowerment, make up the dams and ensure that our people are able to produce both for subsistence and commercial, then we are able to feed our country.
So maybe just to add something so that our viewers are not confused. There is a difference between GMOs and organic and inorganic products, so that we are in agreement. Inorganic products, or the things that are produced inorganically, are those that chemicals have been applied to help the plant grow and become mature to the point that the harvest can be taken. And organic are those that natural fertilizer like manure have been used. So nothing like chemicals have been applied to them right from the day they were planted to the day of harvesting. So I thought that was just important to put across for the sake of our viewers.
Thank you. I think that's a very important point that we may need another session to dig deep into organic farming. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. And now, as we draw closer to the end of this episode, there were some remarks that were made by one of the government officials. And in quotes, he might not have said this in bad terms. It was a joke, as it has come to be. So is GMO, when we add GMO as one of the solutions of a country, are we adding it to the many ways that Kenyans can die? In your terms, what are your thoughts and feelings about those statements? I know you know the remarks that I'm talking about. So in a nutshell, how do you respond to such?
I think mimi venye naweza sema, you see, that particular government official is a politician, and we know him. And so I think he was being political at that point, and he just made a bad joke. Kenyans say alichoma. Kwa sababu, you see, you cannot be in a public space and then you utter such utterances just because you want to answer somebody that is of your league. So I think he was just being political, but such statements should not be encouraged even going forward, because they may end up giving people a lot of fears, unknown fears concerning the same discussion. Yes.
Kimboy, you seem to be in agreement with those remarks. What do you think about
I take those remarks with a pinch of salt. It has two sides. Let's take the context of our country, the way things are being done and the way things are responded to, and the level to which we take in terms of the things that are official and things that are unofficial. So I want to think, I am not saying that he was right in saying that let's add to the list of the things that Kenyans or contribute to the death of Kenyans. But in the way it was answered again, he was responding to a particular question, in that when we introduced, or when the government or cabinet passed the idea of GMOs of the country, there is opposition. And the opposition, there is the biggest reason as to how the public talks about the GMO issue, is that it is coming to kill Kenyans. It's coming to introduce diseases such as cancer and such, or increase. And so he says, if you are opposing because it's bringing death, then why don't we just add it to the list of the things that bring death? Because we already have 1 million of them, let us add to the list. In putting it in that context means he was responding with regard to how the question or how the opposition has been brought up towards the GMO. If it was experts, agricultural experts coming up or scientists, agricultural scientists coming and say, because of this and this and this and this, let us not just take the GMO issue blindly and let's make decisions step by step, or let's not take GMO at all. But now the things that are on the public sphere, and the way I can't say media, but that's where we get most of our information, and the social media and such, where there's no control of information. Most of the people who oppose the GMO say it is coming to add to the things that cause death to Kenyans, in a way that it will introduce diseases and reduce the lifespan of the Kenyans. And so I would not say he was wrong, and I would not say he was right. So we can bring up the context and try see how much or in what context was he responding to that.
But don't you think that, especially in the African context, death is not taken lightly? So if our public officers and people that we hold at high regard are allowed to make such statements, don't you think it's going to probably not go so well with the Kenyans and the public at large?
Like I said, I take with a pinch of salt. I also do not approve of the same, in that him being a public figure should be sober enough to be able to take the critics and those who support their way of doing things. And so he would just come out and say, for those who think that this thing is bringing death, it is not so. Let us seek an expertise opinion and come to us and ask, why are you doing this, instead of just bringing unproven myths that GMO is bringing to the list of death of the people of the country. So he also has a way to play in being sober and being able to answer questions in a professional way, whether it was asked by layman or someone who tries to prick him to do something.
Thank you, gentlemen. As we wind up this session, I'll give you a chance to give your parting shots. So we may start with Wellington. Since you are in support, just start with, I support GMO because of 1, 2, 3, as you give your closing remarks.
Okay, thank you. I do support GMO because, number one, when we look at the changing environment, especially in the farming field, where rainfall patterns are changing, soil conditions are changing. So it's important for us to have products that are going to be resistant enough, so that then they can be able to grow on our farms and help us also be able to get something out of it. So I believe that with the introduction of this, with then good interventions from institutions, we will be a country that will have stability in terms of availability of food. And so for me, I think it's a good step that the government has taken, and I'm in support of it. Number two, I believe that for them that are in agribusiness, this is an opportunity for you to be able to produce products that will help you also not just sell to the local market, but even export as well, so that other countries that are facing instability in terms of food can also be able to get the same. So I believe it's a good venture, and I'm in total support of it.
Thank you. Kimboy, as you give your closing remarks and a parting shot, just with, I don't support GMO because 1, 2, 3.
I do not support GMO currently in Kenya, and so one of the reasons is that ecosystem is self-sustaining. The parts that get destroyed builds itself by nature. And so many of the problems that we face currently is because of human action. Global warming and such comes as a result of human action. And so we will end up in more extreme conditions, more than even what GMO can solve, if we do not utilize or make the best of what we have, that is less, that has less chances of doubts among the people, or that does not make or please the people that we have. If GMO comes to be a mess or have being mishandled by those who are going to do it, it can easily have a mess. But I am not saying so because I'm not saying that the experts are not vast enough, but I'm saying let us make the best of what we have using natural means. Let us use the fertilizer that we have. Let us empower farmers. Let us do crop rotation. Let us do irrigations. Let us do the pesticides and such, but also try to minimize on those. We have, I think in Kenya also there are chemicals which cannot be used in agriculture because of the concentration it has and the effects it can have finally on not only human beings but also on the ecosystem. When it goes to rivers, it affects the ecosystem. And so let us think of things that are going to be biologically good for other parts of the ecosystem, and try to be able to utilize what we have. Like we say, the world can produce enough for us, but not enough for our greed. So it can produce for everyone, but not the greed of everyone. So let us make the best, and we are going to feed our country, and we are going to feed our people. We can do that for short term because it's like a knee-jerk reaction, but in the long term, we have the capacity to do so. And though our government is thinking of let's empower our institutions. So I think as we empower our institutions, we empower our farmers. At the end of the day, we are going to have the capacity to be able to feed our people and be able to sustain our economy without necessarily going for GMO. Let's have GMO as the last resort.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. It's been a wonderful episode and discussion. We've come to the end of this episode. My name is John Kinyo, your host. We've been joined today by Kimboi and Wellington. Thank you for joining us from wherever you are. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so. We have amazing discussions coming your way. Remember that we've been sponsored by Mkulima Bora. It's an agricultural technology company that connects small-scale farmers to the online markets. So until we meet next time, please stay safe, stay well, and God be with you. Thank you.